Hey hoes, and welcome back to another episode of Morning Cup of Ho podcast. I'm Imani, your host and main ho, here to help you on this journey of finding your purpose, getting your shit together, and living the life you want. Pour up your morning cup of whatever you're sipping on, get ready to unleash your inner hoe, and let's get into this episode. So hoes, welcome back for season 2 of Morning Cup of Ho podcast. For today, I really wanted to come here and talk to y'all about your comfort zone, because as I was kind of reminiscing on season 1 and how I was feeling, I realized that doing this podcast has really taken me outside of my comfort zone, and it's not something that I would have ever thought that I would be here doing today, because I was so scared to do it. Like I've told y'all previously, I had thought about doing a podcast for a while. I kind of start putting those feelers out there, like seeing how people would feel about it and things like that, but I was so scared and I was so willing to just stay in my comfort zone that I kept pushing it out and pushing it out and pushing it out. But what I realized after I put out the podcast is that most of those fears that I had, they were all in my head. Like, people didn't talk about me when I started my podcast. People didn't question why I started. People didn't think it was stupid, or at least people didn't tell me that it was stupid. Like, I actually had the exact opposite reaction to what I thought was going to happen. Like, I had so much support. I had so many people saying that they can relate to what I was saying. I had so many people saying that I was brave for putting this out. So I had so many positive things that happened after putting out this podcast that for some reason I was so scared to put out. And I thought all these things were going to happen, and they never happened. So with kind of reminiscing on that and reminiscing on where I'm at now, it really made me wonder why I stayed in my comfort zone for so long. And even still, even though I put out the podcast and that was a step outside of my comfort zone, I still am in my comfort zone in so many other aspects of my life. So just reminiscing on the podcast, it was making me think, like, why do I stay in there so long? And why haven't I taken that initiative to try to get out of my comfort zone? So I kind of want to stop here and ask y'all, like, how often do y'all push yourselves out of your comfort zone? And actually, I guess I want to backtrack a little bit more and start off with giving y'all a definition of a comfort zone, and then we can kind of dig into it a little bit more. So the definition of a comfort zone is a familiar state where people are at ease and in control of their environment, experiencing low levels of stress or anxiety. So keeping that definition in mind, how often do y'all push yourself outside of your comfort zone? And I really want you to sit here and kind of think about it a little bit. And if you're thinking about it and you really can't think of any instances, so you're like, I never push myself outside of my comfort zone, why is that? And what does your comfort zone look like? Because I think it's so important to be able to look at your comfort zone and realize what it looks like. Because honestly, we may not even realize that we're living within our comfort zone because we're so used to doing the same things every day. And you're like, I'm not living inside my comfort zone. I'm just following I'm following my routine. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and all this stuff. But you never think of, like, what could pull you outside of your comfort zone. So for me, my comfort zone looks like not interacting with new people, not trying new things, doing the same thing repeatedly. And I feel like a lot of people have that same idea of what their comfort zone is. And once again, you may not think that it's your comfort zone. You may be like, okay, well, I'm not interacting with new people because I have my group of friends. I'm not trying new things because I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing repeatedly because, I have a routine, I have a job, I have this, I have that. And you're making all these excuses as to why that's not your comfort zone, but it really is your comfort zone. And I'm not saying that, like, your comfort zone has to be a terrible thing. With everything in the world, there's a good side and a bad side for it. So as far as, like, the benefits of being inside your comfort zone or staying within your comfort zone, obviously is going to minimize risk. If you don't change anything, you don't have the option for failure. You're going to feel comfortable in that comfort zone. Like, inherently, that's exactly what it is. A place where you feel comfortable, nothing's changing, you don't have to think about it too much. Another benefit of being within your comfort zone is being successful where you are. So for instance, you're comfortable at your job and you know exactly what your role is. You know how to do it. You don't even have to think. You're kind of in autopilot while you're doing it. And that's very comfortable to you. But at the same time, all of those benefits can also be looked at as cons as well. So for instance, you're saying that you're minimizing risk by staying in your comfort zone. But if there's no risk, there's no reward. You're not working towards anything. And then if you're feeling comfortable, which was another benefit, If there's no discomfort, that means there's no growth. Because one of the main things that you hear people saying is you're growing in that discomfort. Those are the moments that you have to learn to pivot. Those are the moments where you have to learn to deal with stress. Those are the moments where you have to really be able to grow. And if you're not getting uncomfortable, you're never going to be able to grow. And then being successful, that being a benefit. Also, you can look at that as a con because you're being successful and you're comfortable in that position that you're in. So when you're stagnant and you're content with your current success, it kind of makes you miss out on, other opportunities that you may have had. If you're not always looking for the next thing, if you're not willing to try new things, if you're not willing to learn new things, you're never going to grow. You're always going to stay in that same position that you've always been in. And you may feel comfortable in that position and you may be happy in that position. But just imagine if you took a step outside of that comfort zone, what could have changed? Where you could be in 10 years, where you could be in 1 year, honestly, because I think a lot of times we look at things like this and think, oh, it's going to take so long to reach my goals. It's going to take so long to see a difference. But honestly, coming out of your comfort zone, you could see so many differences, and it can be day by day. It could build that confidence. It could just make you feel more outgoing. You can meet somebody that can change your life tomorrow just by stepping outside of your comfort zone. So you really have to think about how often you're doing that. And are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone? So going back to how often you step outside your comfort zone, really think about that. And with all this information and thinking about what your comfort zone looks like, what the benefits are, what the cons are, why aren't you stepping outside your comfort zone? And do you think those benefits outweigh those cons? Because for me, I'm like, okay, feeling comfortable like that feels like a great benefit for me. But when I'm comparing it to the fact that me feeling comfortable is going to prevent me from growing, I'm like, am I willing to do that for the rest of my life? Am I willing to look back on me living right now and be like, dang, I was so happy with being comfortable, but that I never made a change. I was never able to grow. I was never able to get to the next step because I was so scared to do that. And I don't think for me that those benefits outweigh the cons for me. So I think that I'm willing to make this change and start to get outside of my comfort zone. So I want to read y'all a quick quote. So the quote says, be willing to step outside your comfort zone once in a while. Take the risk in life that seem worth taking. The ride might not be as predictable as if you just planted your feet and stayed put, but it will be a heck of a lot more interesting. And I think that's so true. It may not be as easy, but you'll learn from this situation, and it'll definitely be more interesting because when you're in your comfort zone, it's kind of predictable. You know what you're going to do every day. You know what the outcome is going to be because you've done it every single day. But when you step outside your comfort zone and kind of see what opportunities that opens up, it's amazing. So that just kind of leads me into the fact that I started a 30-day getting out of my comfort zone challenge. And the reason that I did this is because I realized that I have been in my comfort zone for so long, and going back to, like I said, reflecting on this podcast and how I was so scared to do that. And once I got out of my comfort zone, it opened up so many opportunities for me, and it was so exciting to be able to do that. I realized that why can't I transfer that into other aspects of my life and get outside of my comfort zone in other ways? So because of that, I started this 30-day getting out of my comfort zone challenge. And what that is I'm doing something different every single day for 30 days that gets me out of my comfort zone. What I'm hoping to gain from this is, for one, more confidence in knowing that if I step outside my comfort zone, if I try something new, it's not going to be the end of the world. Because I think a lot of times I'm so concerned about thinking about what other people are going to think if I step outside that comfort zone, what people are going to say, how I'm going to be perceived. And I think it's so important when you're starting to step outside of your comfort zone to think about the fact that nobody cares what you do. And I know that's easier said than done to think about that, but honestly, in life, nobody is thinking about us as much as we think. You're out and about, you're dancing, you're having fun. Nobody cares. Everybody is living their life. And of course, there's going to be a few people that may bat an eye she's weird or whatever the case may be. But I guarantee 10 minutes from now, they're not even going to be thinking about you. And you're so worried about how they perceive you, and they're not even someone that's important in your life. There's they're not someone that's going to be able to make any type of change in your life. So I'm trying to really instill that in myself, the fact that I can step outside of my comfort zone. I can do things that make me happy, do things that make me uncomfortable, and see where that gets me. So I'm actually tracking my journey of that on TikTok, and my TikTok is at morningcupofh.o.e. And I'll be tracking for 30 days. And I encourage everybody to try this challenge as well, especially if you feel like you're someone that is so stuck in your comfort zone. And I think it's so important to realize that it's not like you have to go and do something, crazy. Like you don't have to go and give a speech to 100 people and that be something that's getting outside of your comfort zone. It can be little things that you do every single day to get outside your comfort zone. Like, did someone hurt your feelings and you were scared to tell them? Go tell them. That's something that could be getting outside your comfort zone. Are you scared to go to the store by yourself or talk to strangers? Go do that. It doesn't have to be something extravagant. It can just be something little by little every day that makes you get outside of your comfort zone and just feel more comfortable in yourself and be more confident in yourself. And I think after 30 days of forcing yourself to push those limits, forcing yourself to get outside your comfort zone, you'll realize that a lot of the stuff is in your head. Nobody's worried about you. Nobody's going to judge you for living your best life. Nobody really cares, which seems like a mean thing to say, but I think it's really freeing to think about the fact that nobody's caring what you do, so you can just live your life. So if you feel like you're stuck in your comfort zone, if you feel like, you're missing out on things in your life because you're not willing to try new things, I encourage you to try this challenge. I know it's like one of those things that's easier said than done, but I will say that they say that the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Because if you're not willing to make a change, if you're not willing to try new things, you'll never get anything different in your life. You'll never be able to grow. And I'm learning that. And I know it's hard, but I'm willing to put in effort to make that change. And I've been talking about it since the beginning of the podcast, but actions speak louder than words. Like, I can't keep saying, I need to get out of my comfort zone. It's the best thing to do, this and that, and not taking any steps to get there. So I think by actually setting this for myself and documenting it on TikTok, I feel like me documenting it on TikTok is holding myself accountable, because I'm one of those people that once I tell somebody about something, I'm embarrassed if I don't follow through with things like that. So I feel like this is really going to hold me accountable and force me to get out of my comfort zone. And I really encourage y'all to join along. Once again, I feel like this was kind of like a rant when I'm just talking a lot about your comfort zone, but I really encourage anybody to get outside your comfort zone and see where that can lead you. I don't think you will regret it if you take that first step to get outside your comfort zone and really get to know, what you like to do. So look forward to next week. We will have our first guest of this season, so stay tuned because it's going to be an amazing episode. Make sure in the meantime, y'all are following us on all social media platforms, definitely on TikTok if you want to keep up with this 30-day challenge. Make sure y'all are leaving reviews and getting ready for the rest of the season. So once again, hoes, welcome back to season 2 of Morning Cup of H.O.E podcast. I hope y'all are excited for all the new topics and the amazing guests that we'll have this season. I'll see y'all hoes next week. Peace.